Good morning. Our hand today is going to be pocket tens. This is my first hand at the table, so I am basically flying blind. I'm not sure how players play. This is a 2NL game, so sometimes the 2NL tend to be uh, weaker and crazier players, I would say. So mid position raise is 2.5. It's hard to say what he's going to have. This is almost 20% range. I think it's probably close. We're going to make it here 19%. Where you have your Broadway, you have your decent aces down to about ace 8. You've got your pocket pairs. I tend to think that a lot of players at 2NL would limp with some of the weaker pocket pairs. They'd probably limp with some of the suited hands. So I'm going to definitely weight it towards these bigger cards. If we were playing against a GTO player, we're looking at a 3-better call strategy of looking something like this. But I kind of feel like since he is so heavy on like the Broadway cards, that we could possibly kind of raise with like ace jack. I would probably be calling a little bit more. Maybe even calling with some of these weaker mid cards, just because I think he's going to be heavy in Broadways. So if Broadway doesn't come out, I think that's a pretty good idea, or a pretty good thing for our hand. And as long as we play it well post flop, we could probably we could probably win. Now it may require us to plan for a check raise on the flop, deviate with what we would typically do, which would be only check raise, polarized range. I think we can attack with some of these mid cards with like one pair hands, maybe draws. Because again, I think he's going to be heavy in Broadways. So, if I were to maybe call these, if we think he is just raising with that upper triangle, then I would probably call jacks. I'd probably call queens. I would probably call with ace jack, ace queen, instead of 3-betting, because I would think that if I connect, he's probably going to have kicker problems, especially if I get that ace, or maybe a queen. I think he could have some kicker problems. And with queens and jacks, definitely they'll probably, if I flop trips and there's another Broadway on the board, they're going to pay off, almost guaranteed. I'm not sure if I do offsuit, but I think we're going to go with this. And I did call. So king 3-2. So even with a board like this, he's going to be missing a lot. With a 2NL player, just kind of depends on the player. Sometimes they're going to be c-betting a lot. Sometimes if they don't connect, then they won't be betting. So I'd say on average, a lot of the 2NL, if they don't hit the flop in some way, they don't bet. So we've connected with a 10. I think our plan is just to check and see what he does. If he bets, then it's probably more likely that he has a king. I don't think we could fold, because I think a spade could actually be good for us. So I think we're going to be checking everything, and he bets, and he actually bets pretty large. He went 2.5 pre-flop, and then he did, 4 big blinds into a 5.5 big blind pot. So that kind of suggests, that kind of suggests he's probably has like a top pair type hand. Maybe like an under pair. Could also have, I'm going to say, could also have these like ace queen, ace jack. I think people get irritated that they missed. And I'm going to say all aces. These undercards, probably not. We'll include the flush draw, and that's about it. So definitely, pairs with those aces. And then it's on us. Since he has these aces, and I think there's going to be more aces than pairs, we can check that. Guess we should color code that just to help us see it. And if we get rid of those, you can see there's more of those. Oops. We beat more hands that he's probably doing this with. So I think what we're going to be doing is probably calling. I think we're even going to call with these aces, ace 3, ace 2, where we hit bottom pair, because if an ace comes, I think we're getting paid off. We're definitely going to be playing flush draw. I think we're probably going to be playing a gut shot. I think we could probably play a 2-card backdoor flush draw with the hearts, with the plan that if a spade gets there, we're probably going to be checking, and if he checks behind, we're going to be firing. If we improve with the heart, I think that could give us like a decent check raise range if he bets again. Although if he bets, he's probably representing that king, and it's going to be hard for him to fold. So it's just speculative play. We're still keeping it there. I mean, we've got. I feel like we have a plan. Depending on what that turn card is. So I like the call. Are we check raising at all? If we think he's going to bet again with his unpaired aces, then no. I think we check and let him bet again on the turn. If we think it's going to be one and done, so basically he's only betting again if he has that top pair hand. If he has a king, then and we think he would call a check raise with a king. Then I think we would be raising with our sets. I think we just call with our top pair because we may have slight kicker problems. King Queen is kind of, I would say, is that middle point. King Jack. If I had King Jack, I'm worried about King Queen and Ace King. If I have King 10, I'm worried about all the other kings. So I think we're doing like the set, and then we're probably doing our big flush draws. Like ace queen, ace jack. I think we're check raising if we think he's going to call with a king, and if a spade comes on the turn, we don't think he would bet anymore. We want to get the money in. We want to get the pot built up. 7 of diamonds comes out. We're gonna just kind of judge. We've called. We're kind of telling him that we have something. We have some hand. He's gonna be worried now. If he doesn't have a king, he's gonna be worried that we have a king. So I think our plan's here to check. He checks behind, and that's actually good news because I think at that point, once the 7 comes, I'm eliminating sets. I'm eliminating. Yeah, he'd still have sets. I'm eliminating the overpair. I'm eliminating the top pair. I think he has some of these. He's got these no-made hands. I'm also eliminating the flush draw at this point. I think a lot of these players would have just bet the flush draw. Maybe I'm wrong, but definitely super weak now. And at this point, with my entire range, I think we are going to plan to bet on the turn as long as an ace doesn't come out. I'd say ace and queen are probably the 2 cards that I don't really want to see. Jack isn't that great, but I can make it work. I think Jack is an okay. I'd still go, but ace and queen is what I'm hoping to avoid. Rivers of 2. That's a great card. We're betting here. I'm gonna say. Against this player, we are betting with our entire range because if we bet with our entire range, I think he's going to be considering calling with one of these, pocket pair less than the top card, maybe call with queens and jacks, maybe calls with 8s and 9s. 10s are pretty rare, one combo. But I think he's going to call with those, and then I think he's going to fold everything else in it. And if he gets suspicious, maybe he calls with ace high, and that's why we also have our pairs and stuff that we're betting with. So we really only have about 30% of weak high and to nothing, 31%. So I think we're just betting 100%. We're going to expect a lot of folds. I think once he checks behind, I don't think we want to check and hope that he bluffs. I think he would have just fired out another bet on the turn, maybe, if he was going to try to bluff 3 streets, because with my call, if he bets and I call again, it's almost like I've got the spade. So when the spade doesn't come, he could go ahead and fire it out again and really try to represent that king. I checked. I think that's a mistake, and he checks behind. I would bet at this time. I'm checking here, hoping that he bets, and I'm planning to call. But I don't like that. I think we should, with our entire range that we made it there, I think we should just bet everything. I don't think we should mess around. I don't think there's any reason to mess around. We want to get value from our good hands, from our pairs, and there's a possibility that he calls with queen with his higher pairs, and he's going to be overfolding, or he's going to be folding a lot of his hands. So let's bet these other hands, especially all of the nothing hands, to get him to fold out, higher cards. So he did check behind. We lost value. I think he shows 7-4, which I didn't have in his range. And that makes it even worse. Because now, if he's got a 7-4, he probably has something like this. Probably all aces. Probably something like this. And when we get to the river, so we'll go back. We'll hit the flop. You can see he's betting basically everything here. C-betting. We'll say he C-bets everything. Turn happens. He hits his pair, and then he checks. When he checks behind, he no longer has top pair. So we're and I don't even think he has a flush draw at this point. So, or a straight draw. So he's got a lot of these hands, 80% of his range, and then another 2 of clubs hits. Now you're looking at 36.8% is nothing. Weak pairs, middle pairs. I mean, maybe he calls those. I mean, we're looking at 13% plus 7%, so 20. I'm sorry, 20, 22. 31 with the weak pair, 31% are pairs. Yeah, we missed some value. We should have bet here. If he calls, great. If he doesn't, he doesn't. He's got a huge number of hands that he's gonna fold. We've got our range. We just bet everything. All right. Hopefully you enjoy this hand. Wish I had stats on this guy. Maybe I've played with him before, but first time at the table. Just kind of going up against an unknown. So after this hand, I take notes on him. Say what he raised with 7-4, and he C-bet. He C-bet with it. All right, hopefully you enjoy this. If you do, look tomorrow for another.